Inside every human being, there are two selves constantly in conflict. One self is timid, fearful, and full of doubt. It whispers excuses, it clings to comfort, and it convinces you that mediocrity is safer than greatness. This self is the weaker version of you, built from years of conditioning, setbacks, and the voices of others who told you what you could not do. But there is another self within you, quiet at first, yet powerful beyond imagination. This is the self that knows no limits, that dreams boldly, that sees beyond circumstances, and that believes all things are possible when you refuse to quit. You can feel these two versions of yourself wrestling every day. When you wake up and hear the voice that says, "Stay in bed, life can wait," that is the weaker self. But when something inside pushes you to rise, to move, to fight for your goals, that is the higher self. When you stand in front of an opportunity and feel fear saying, "What if you fail?" that is the smaller self speaking. But when something inside tells you, "What if you succeed beyond your imagination?" that is the voice of the greater you, the you that was born to lead, to achieve, and to live with purpose. Understand this truth: both versions of you cannot rule your life at the same time. One must dominate. Either the weaker self will chain you to the ordinary, or the stronger self will lead you to the extraordinary. And every day, with every choice, you are casting a vote for which version of you will rise to power. Every decision, no matter how small, feeds oneself and starves the other. If you give in to excuses, if you surrender to fear, if you let procrastination win, you are feeding the weaker self. But when you act with courage, when you speak with confidence, when you dare to push past your doubts, you are feeding the stronger self, the one that holds the key to your destiny. Greatness is not reserved for a chosen few. It belongs to those who understand the battle within and decide to give strength to the right side of themselves. The stronger version of you is not a fantasy. It is real, alive, waiting for you to claim it. It is the self that refuses to shrink in the face of challenge. It is the self that sees every failure as a stepping stone, every obstacle as a test, and every setback as preparation for a comeback. Think of the life you could live if you allowed your higher self to guide you. Imagine the courage you would feel, the opportunities you would seize, the relationships you would build, and the impact you would leave. That version of you already exists. It is not something you must create from nothing. It is already within you, hidden beneath layers of fear and doubt. The question is, which self will you allow to dominate your life? You must look in the mirror and make a choice. Will you continue to let the weaker self hold the steering wheel, driving you in circles of wasted time and regret? Or will you hand the wheel to the version of you that sees a horizon filled with possibility and dares to chase it? Remember this: your destiny does not depend on luck, on chance, or on circumstance. It depends on which version of you you allow to rule. The two selves cannot coexist in power. One must rise and one must fade, and only you can decide which one it will be. Growth always comes at a price. You cannot become the person you were destined to be while clinging to the old version of yourself. There is a version of you right now that must die, the version that has been holding you back, the version that finds safety in excuses, the version that has grown comfortable with mediocrity. That self has carried you this far, but it cannot take you to the next level. And until you bury it, you will never unlock the life that belongs to you. This is the great paradox of transformation. Before you can be reborn, something inside you must end. You cannot drag your fears into your future. You cannot carry procrastination into your purpose. You cannot hold on to laziness and still walk into greatness. Something has to go. The old self must be sacrificed for the stronger self to emerge. Ask yourself, how many dreams have been lost because people refuse to let go of their weaker version? How many lives have been wasted because someone chose comfort over courage? You have seen it before. Talented people, intelligent people, people with vision and ability, but they could not release their old habits, their old patterns, their old fears. They clung to the person they used to be, and as a result, they never became the person they were meant to be. The truth is simple. If you want to grow, something must die. The old self thrives on doubt, on excuses, on waiting for the right time. But the right time never comes. That version of you will always find reasons to delay, reasons to hide, reasons to play small. And as long as you keep listening to it, your dreams will stay locked away, collecting dust in the corner of your imagination. But when you make the decision to let that self go, to bury the excuses, to silence the fear, to destroy the patterns that no longer serve you, You create space for the greater version of yourself to rise. It is like clearing a field of weeds before planting a harvest. You cannot expect growth if you do not first remove what is choking your potential. Killing the old self is not easy. It will fight for survival. It will whisper to you when you are tired, telling you to quit. It will remind you of past failures and convince you that history will repeat itself. It will seduce you with the comfort of old habits, because habits are familiar and the familiar feels safe. But do not be deceived. Safety is the cage that keeps you small. You must be ruthless with the version of yourself that has been holding you back. When fear speaks, refuse to listen. When doubt knocks, do not open the door. When laziness calls your name, turn your back. This is not cruelty, it is necessary discipline. For every moment you feed the old self, you delay the birth of the new. Think of this as a death that leads to resurrection. The person you were yesterday may have been ruled by excuses, but tomorrow you can be reborn as someone who acts with courage. The person you were yesterday may have feared failure, but tomorrow you can rise as someone who embraces risk as the path to success. The person you were yesterday may have been comfortable with average, but tomorrow you can walk as someone destined for excellence. Do not mourn the death of your weaker self, celebrate it. For every weakness you kill, you give life to strength. For every fear you bury, you awaken courage. For every excuse you destroy, you create opportunity. And the more you let go of the old self, the more you will discover the limitless power of the new self waiting inside you. Remember, this transformation is not addition, it is subtraction. You do not become great by piling more on top of who you are. You become great by cutting away what no longer serves you, by removing the chains, by shedding the skin of limitation. Only then can the true version of you, the one filled with vision, faith, and strength, step into the light. Your thoughts are the architects of your destiny. Every idea you allow to take root in your mind shapes the world you experience. If you think small, you will live small. If you think fear, you will live in fear. If you think courage, abundance, and victory, you will draw those very things into your life. The invisible world of thought creates the visible world of results. There is a law at work, a law that does not fail. What you dwell upon consistently becomes your reality. The weaker version of you is born out of thoughts of limitation. It is the voice that says, I cannot, it's too late, or it's impossible. Those words are not harmless, they are seeds. And when they are planted, they grow into habits, actions, and eventually results that confirm your belief in limitation. But there is another version of you, the greater self, that feeds on a different kind of thought. This self thrives on belief, on vision, on an unshakable certainty that the future belongs to those who see it before it arrives. When you think with confidence, when you focus on what is possible instead of what is missing, you ignite power that reshapes your life. Stop for a moment and consider this. Every invention, every breakthrough, every act of greatness in history began in the unseen world of thought. The airplane existed in thought before it flew in the sky. The light bulb existed in thought before it illuminated the night. Great fortunes, great works of art, great discoveries, all of them were first a thought in someone's mind. If thought could give birth to such wonders, why would it not also transform your life? Your thoughts are not passive. They are instructions to your mind, to your body, and to the universe around you. If you think of yourself as weak, your actions will follow. If you think of yourself as capable, unstoppable, and destined for greatness, your behavior will rise to match that belief. This is why the battle of the two selves is fought in the mind. The weaker self feeds on thoughts of defeat. The stronger self feeds on thoughts of victory. Do not underestimate the power of belief. Belief turns the invisible into the visible. Belief gives you the courage to act when everything around you says to quit. Belief gives you strength when your circumstances suggest you are finished. Belief makes the impossible possible. Without belief, even the greatest opportunities will slip through your hands. With belief, even the greatest obstacles can be turned into stepping stones. Think about your own life. How many times have you allowed doubt to stop you before you even began? How many chances have you missed because you told yourself a story of limitation? Now imagine what your life would look like if you replaced every limiting thought with one of power, if you replaced every I can't with I must, if you replaced every it's too hard with it is worth it. This is not wishful thinking. It is discipline. You must train your mind to dwell only on the thoughts that serve you. Guard your mental garden as you would guard your most precious treasure. Do not let weeds of fear and doubt take root. Plant thoughts of faith, of strength, of vision, and water them daily with action. Understand this truth. You are already thinking every day, but the question is, what are you thinking about? The direction of your life is nothing more than the direction of your dominant thoughts. If you want to rise higher, think higher. If you want to achieve more, believe more. If you want to meet the greater version of yourself, start by thinking as that version would think. Your future is not waiting for luck, it is waiting for thought. As you believe, so you shall become. And when you choose to align your thoughts with faith, vision, and courage, you will awaken the self within you that is capable of extraordinary achievement. Thought without action is like a seed left in a drawer, full of potential, but destined to rot unused. You can dream, you can plan, you can imagine the higher version of yourself all day long, but unless you take disciplined action, nothing will change. Action is the bridge between who you are and who you are meant to be. It is the proof of belief, the test of courage, and the only true measure of commitment. Too many people stop at vision. They read, they learn, they plan, but they never step forward. They say, I'm waiting for the right time, or I'll start when I feel ready, but readiness never comes. The weaker self will always find a reason to delay. If you wait for perfect conditions, you will wait forever. The stronger version of you does not wait, it acts. It takes the first step even in uncertainty. It moves forward even when fear is loud. It chooses discipline over comfort because it knows that discipline is the price of freedom. Discipline is not punishment. It is the training of your will. It is the daily practice of proving to yourself that you are in control, not your excuses, not your habits, not your fears. When you rise early to work on your dream, when you keep going after failure, when you do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it, you are feeding the stronger self. Every act of discipline is a brick laid on the foundation of your destiny. Action has a power that thought alone can never match. One step forward, no matter how small, creates momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence fuels more action. And before long, what once felt impossible becomes routine. What once felt far away becomes near. Success is not one giant leap. It is the accumulation of small, disciplined actions repeated with faith and consistency. Ask yourself, how many times have you known what to do but failed to do it? Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. A plan on paper changes nothing. A dream in your mind changes nothing. But action, taken with persistence and discipline, can change everything. You must train yourself to act even in the face of fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward in spite of it. Every time you take action when fear says stop, you weaken the grip of your old self. You prove to your mind and spirit that you are stronger than hesitation, stronger than doubt, stronger than excuses. Discipline also means consistency. Greatness is not built in a single day. It is built day after day, action after action, choice after choice. The stronger self is not revealed in bursts of motivation, but in the steady, daily grind of commitment. It is easy to act when you feel inspired. True discipline is acting when you feel tired, uninspired, and tempted to quit. That is the test that separates the weaker self from the stronger one. Understand this truth. Discipline is freedom. The undisciplined life feels free in the moment, but leads to chains of regret. The disciplined life feels heavy in the moment, but leads to the freedom of achievement, of self-respect, of living the life you truly desire. Every act of discipline is an investment in your future. Every action you take in alignment with your vision is a declaration that the stronger version of you is in control. Do not wait for motivation, act, and motivation will follow. Do not wait for clarity, act, and clarity will appear. Do not wait for courage, act, and courage will grow. The destiny you dream of will not come to those who wait. It will come to those who move, who fight, who persist, who discipline themselves to act again and again until the vision becomes real. Action is the doorway. Discipline is the key. And once you unlock that door and step through with courage, you will discover the life the stronger version of you was created to live. There comes a moment when you must stop talking about the stronger version of yourself and start living as that version. Too many people spend their lives in preparation, always becoming but never being. They say, one day I'll change, or someday I'll step into my power. But someday is a lie the weaker self tells to keep you small. The truth is, you do not become the greater version of yourself by waiting. You become it by deciding to embody it now. Living as the higher version of you means refusing to negotiate with your limitations. It means no longer asking fear for permission, no longer letting excuses dictate your pace, no longer carrying the weight of old failures as if they were chains around your ankles. The higher version of you does not apologize for dreaming big. It does not shrink to fit the comfort zones of others. It does not compromise on purpose. It stands tall, walks boldly, and lies with an inner authority that comes from knowing who it really is. Think about the power of identity. The weaker self says, I want to change. The stronger self says, I am changed. The weaker self says, I hope I can. The stronger self says, I must, I will, and nothing will stop me. When you live as the higher version of you, you no longer wait for external validation. You no longer need applause to move forward. Your validation comes from within, from knowing you are living true to the vision planted inside your soul. The world does not reward intentions, it rewards embodiment. You can say you are disciplined, but unless you live with discipline, it means nothing. You can say you are courageous, but unless you face fear, it is just words. You can say you are destined for greatness, but unless you act, that destiny remains locked away. Living as the higher version of you means becoming the example, not the explanation. It means your actions, your habits, your daily choices all reflect the truth of who you are becoming. But do not mistake this life for perfection. The higher version of you is not flawless. It is fearless in the pursuit of growth. It still stumbles, but it never quits. It still doubts, but it never surrenders. It still faces storms, but it refuses to sink. Living as your higher self does not mean you will never face challenges. It means you meet challenges with a new identity, a new strength, and a new determination. Ask yourself, if you were already the stronger version of you, how would you think? How would you speak? How would you walk into a room? How would you face your goals? Begin doing those things now. Speak as that person would speak. Move as that person would move. Live as that person would live. The moment you decide to embody that self, you step into the reality that was waiting for you all along. The weaker self waits for change. The stronger self becomes the change. The weaker self waits for opportunity. The stronger self creates opportunity. The weaker self sees obstacles as barriers. The stronger self sees obstacles as teachers. Living as the higher version of you means shifting from reaction to creation. You no longer let life happen to you. You make life happen through you. Remember, there is no future version of you coming to save you. The person you are waiting for is already inside you, waiting to be released. Stop postponing. Stop excusing. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Step into the role now. Live as the greater you today, and tomorrow will adjust to the power of your decision. When you begin to live as your higher self, you do more than change your life. You change the lives of everyone around you. You inspire others to rise, to believe, to step into their own power. You become a beacon of possibility, proof that transformation is not only possible, but inevitable for those who dare to live it. The stronger version of you is not in the distance. It is here now, waiting for you to say, this is who I am. And once you claim it, once you live it, the world cannot help but make room for the greatness you embody.